everyone, and welcome to What's New in Civil 3D 2024. My name is Juliana, and I work in marketing here at MicroCAD. And today's presenter is Tim Corey, our applications specialist. Today, we will explore some of the latest enhancements and updates in Autodesk Civil 2024. As usual, throughout the webinar, you can ask a question at any given point on the left-hand corner. You can ask Tim to revisit a step or ask any questions. This is your time, and we want you to make the most of it. And in the upper left-hand corner, you will find links to our social media and website. Also, make sure to check our YouTube channel. We post all of our webinars there at the end, so you can share with colleagues or rewatch it on your own time. And without further ado, we'll pass it on to Tim. Hi, Tim.
Okay. Hi. Thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm going to share my screen with you all. Start off, you should see my slideshow.
Yep.
I should be able to get it to go like that. Okay. That's a picture of me. I know it looks a lot like Clint Eastwood from 1968, but that's actually me. So don't be distracted. Okay, so this is our first slide. And I just at first want to talk about some of these new features. Now, you know, these webinars we do are fairly short. Rather than just giving you a small taste of several new features, what I'd like to do is spend a little bit of time of actually showing you how some of these features work. We'll talk about this multi-threading and multi-processing. Those are part of AutoCAD. But then I'm going to demonstrate to you this link directly to packet files for subassemblies, and then this new functionality, corridor transitions. Okay, so I've got demos for each of those and show you how those work, etc. So this multi-threading and multi-processing, what this does is AutoCAD now truly supports multiple processors and multiple cores within processors in your computer. This has been kind of the holy grail of AutoCAD for years and years. We've all been really thinking, boy, AutoCAD's going to be fast when they finally truly support multi-processing and multi-threading. Well, now we do. And I've got a little chart here that shows, whoops, I guess I need to learn how to use these things. I'm just going to zoom in on some of this. In particular, what's going to be most noticeable for you are things like this new whip thread and complete redesign of the graphics system. Whoop. Told you I'm not very good with PowerPoint. Okay. So here they talk about new graphic system design from the ground up. So this should make all of your 3D functionality much faster. And then this is also going to be updated to handle 2D later on. And you'll see some things in here like hatch boundary generation is going to be faster. Printing, if I'm doing the publish function where it needs to print out multiple sheets, and I tell it to go in the background, well, now instead of it having to do the sheets sequentially, one after the other, it can process those in parallel on your multiple processors in your multiple cores, so that processing of output should be much faster now as well. And you can see there's a bunch of other stuff in there. Okay. All right, let's talk about actual Civil 3D functionality. I'll go back to the slideshow here. There you go, fill it up. So import subassembly packet files directly. What they're saying here is previously if you had your own custom packets that you created using whoops, go back way one. Okay. using the Civil 3D subassembly composer. Okay. For those of you that are familiar, this is how you go in and modify different subassemblies, create your own custom subassemblies, modify those, etc. So here what we have is this custom subassembly. It's a packet file. I took that and I modified this distance here down to P3 L2. And I said width P3 is at the bottom. So we're going from P4. Okay, I need this line here. Yeah, P4 and L3. Okay, so you see here I've taken the delta X from P4 to P3, 4 to 3, taking that delta X, and I just put a divided by 2 on it. By default, it looks like this. Okay, it's just a straight up curve. But I'm just making a change so I can show how that can propagate into Civil 3D and then update your whole drawing. Okay, so I want to save this file. Back here in Civil 3D, I've got that subassembly here. I'm just going to delete it. Okay, so what you do is, I'm going to remove this and show you again how you attach these. So it used to be, if I wanted to bring in a subassembly, I would go Insert, Import Subassemblies, and then my source file would be coming from, would actually come from it wouldn't link to the packet, it'll link to my Civil 3D subassemblies collection, okay? But now I can tell it link directly to those packet files, and then when I pick a packet file and I import it onto a layout or a tool palette tab, I'm using one called Tim's, okay? And I'll say, okay. So now there's curb wall radius, all right? So if I go in here, go to my prospector assemblies, I'm using this, I'm just going to zoom to this. Okay, so let's say I put my curb wall radius on here. Okay, so I get that messed up look like you see over here in my subassembly composer. So let's say I fix that. Get rid of the divided by 2. So that looks right. So now I save this. Back over in Civil 3D, I just tell it to refresh. Whoops. Pick this subassembly, tell it to refresh it. Guess it's not on there, it's only out here. So let's. You'll notice also we have a new collection. We've always had this assemblies collection. Now there's a subassemblies collection. So any of these subassemblies that I've linked to as packet files, there they are. I could right-click, tell it to refresh that. If the file has changed since I attached this, I'll be notified. See, that's out of date. Okay, so what I can do is I can just right-click and say, let's update all sub-assemblies. So every sub-assembly in this drawing that uses that packet file is going to be updated with the change. Okay, so that's what linking to the packet files can do for you. So that way, you know, you make a change to, who knows, maybe you're doing some kind of lane and you make a change to the material thickness and you want everybody to use that. Well, all they have to do is refresh their subassembly and then have it update all. Okay. I did want to show you this kind of small change, but you'll notice here on the Start tab, my previews, I have many more preview boxes or preview images than I had on previous versions of AutoCAD or Civil 3D. Or if I do the list instead of the images, the list is much longer. I like this myself. I think that's pretty cool. Okay, and back to, I want to go up and show you, okay, so here we want to talk about these corridor transitions. This is a new functionality. Now, many of you are probably already familiar with how to do targeting, right, where you could draw another an alignment out there or a polyline, and you can have Civil 3D target that for its widths, or for, in this case, we're going to be adjusting slopes, but we can do lane widths with targeting, etc. Well, now what we can do is we can do those widths if we want. We can do it with this new transition functionality. Don't have to draw any geometry to target. But beyond that, we can also transition things like, if I'm doing, for example, a lane super elevation AOR, okay, that's a subassembly that has, oops. Okay, I'm dealing with this, okay? Like, let's say I'm doing this subassembly here, and I have that base or that sub-base material. Maybe my design is, you know, I need to come in at the standard 1 foot, but by the time I get to a certain location on my entry drive, I need to be at some other thickness. Maybe that's where the trucks come in, or, you know, really heavy people on bicycles or whatever. We need to change the structure of this with different thicknesses. Well, rather than having to do multiple assemblies and get the and use different regions to do that, we can do that with these corridor transitions. Okay. Any parameter in the subassembly I pick can be transitioned. Its values can be transitioned over space, over distance. So here's an example here where I've gone in this, and my default slope on this catch slope here is 10%. That's too shallow. Well, I don't want to make multiple regions and all that. So what I want to do is I want to set up transitioning here so that I can get that to start out here maybe at, you know, some other steeper value, maybe go to very steep up in here and then transition back to less steep, maybe however we decide to do it. So I'll pick my corridor, and then you'll see up on the ribbon this new button here, Edit Corridor Transition. Okay. That up here you see this is my AutoCAD panorama window. I docked it at the top because it's very handy to be able to see your model while you're inputting these data. So what I want to do is I want to tell it create a new transition. I press this button, down here on the command line, it's telling me select a subassembly name or a class name. So what I can do is I can simply point into the area that represents the subassembly I want to adjust. Okay, if I wanted that sidewalk width to be able to adjust, okay, or if I wanted this link slope to surface, that's what I'm going to adjust. So I'm going to click that. Now a link slope to surface only has a single parameter, slope, so that's fine. We'll pick the slope. Now watching my prompting, select the start station. Where do I want this slope to start? Well, let's say we start at 75. Okay, and the parameter there is 10%, so just 10. Then we want to end. So I want to come all the way up into here somewhere. I'll go to 2 plus 50. And the end parameter value, maybe I want to go at 1 to 1, so 100%. And my transition is linear. Am I going to make another region? Not yet, so I'm just going to enter to end the command. Now what you need to do is hit this apply button. So now you can see I transitioned from 10% here to 100% here. That looks like it may work all the way around this corner. So let's go ahead and continue that transition. All right, so let's go in here, pick the corridor, go to transition. Okay, do another new region, starting in there, slope, start station, we're going to go to 250, and parameter at there is going to be, let's do 100%, so 1 to 1. Okay, the end station, I'm going to take it, so I want to go up to here, so I'll just snap to this end point. Okay, that's at 525, and we want to be at 1 to 1. Linear. Okay, and then I want to go out to the end here, and I'll just snap to this end point. And by the time I get there, I want to be at 50%, so 2 to 1. And that's linear. Okay, I'm done setting those up. Now I can just say apply, and you can see now how I've adjusted that slope so that I made it steeper, got around the inside of this curve here, came to the end here, and then changed back out to a gentler slope coming out this way. Now what's kind of cool is these regions can be moved. Once you have a region set up with those transition lengths and everything, those can be moved around kind of together. All right, so if I took this and I go down, well, that should scroll down for me, no? Oh, I just have one, right. Okay, so I put that back, okay. All right, I want to show you width. So let's go, just going to do an undo back, act like I opened this up fresh. Undo, B for back. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of the daylighting on that. I just want to adjust the width of the lane, show you how you can do that. I'll go like that, just delete that, rebuild the corridor. Okay. All right, so let's say I've got a situation here where I need to, transition out from here. My lane width right now is assembly properties. On the right, lane super elevation OR 1475. Okay. So by the time I get down to some other station down here, maybe from 4 plus 0 to 60, I want to go from 1475 to 295. Okay, so let's do our transitioning. Oops, make sure you only have one item selected, the corridor. Edit transitions. Okay, I'm going to get rid of these other regions I already had. Make sure I apply that. Okay, so now let's add a region. And this, I'm going to point to this lane super elevation AOR subassembly. You can see how it highlights here for you in the section view as well. That's pretty sophisticated stuff, I think. There's my curb, gutter, sidewalk, etc. So now I pick that. Okay, what I want to change then, see how it shows all the parameters available? I want to change the width. Okay, and let's go, start station will be 400, and the width there, 14.75. I would like to see them change this prompt. Instead of saying enter the parameter value at station, they should be able to say enter the width or enter the thickness or whatever it is you're changing, instead of just the parameter value. But oh well. And the end station, I said I want to go from 4 to 6. And there we're going to go to 29.5. Okay. And I'll just do a linear taper's fine. And I'm done. And then I say apply. Then I've adjusted the width in there. Okay, now I can take that now. If I lock that parameter like that, then I could take this first point and I could slide it and say, well, what if it was here? And then apply that. And then I've just adjusted that transitioning without having to reset it up, right? So that's pretty handy. Okay, I'll show you if I was going to change a thickness on a material. Okay, so this right now, I think the base 2, let's go ahead and look at our subassembly properties. That base 2 sub-base depth is 1 foot, okay? So let's say I want to go from 1 foot to 5 feet. We're going to bring in some big heavy water trucks or airplanes or something that we need more sub-base on. Okay, so let's go and look at our transitions. I'm going to get rid of this. All right, add a transition. So now, same thing, it's the same subassembly, but now we're doing the sub-base depth. Okay, and I'll do the same station, 400. Okay, we're going to start at 1 foot deep. And the end station, so we want to go to 700. And there, oh, that's outside, okay, yeah. 6 works, right? Yeah, 600. And the value there wants to be, say, 5 feet. So we're going crazy with it. Linear, done making, and we can then tell it to apply. Now, I don't see anything, right? But if I go in now and go to my section editor, I should be able to just grab that, slide it up in here. Okay, so here I'm at 1 foot. Oh, I wanted this, yeah, there we go. Okay, so now as I step through the stations, you're going to see this thickness here increase. That's what that transition is doing for me. Get all the way here, It's to 5 feet. I didn't transition back, so it'll just jump back to its original number. Okay? So that's some pretty cool stuff there, I think. It's real easy to use. Beauty is it saves this info. Now, you will notice if you try to do regular targeting like I did here, I added a target with this polyline here. I'm having the corridor target that. Well, then I cannot do this transitioning function in an area where I have targeting. Okay, so it's one or the other, not both. We got about 2 minutes left. I'll just mention a couple things here about Autodesk grading optimization. Number one, this is now included in your Civil 3D installation. It's not a separate function. It's part of your Civil 3D subscription, so you don't have to have the AEC collection in order to have grading optimization. And you'll see down on the bottom there, they've enhanced a few things like the naming of feature lines that are being sent back from grading optimization to the Civil 3D drawing. They've updated that so you can do your naming templates to get more options there. Some changes to the user interface. They've also got a really good getting started guide for grading optimization. I don't know if any of you have used grading optimization at this point, but their getting started guide really gets you started quickly and easily and shows you the sorts of steps that you use in grading optimization. Okay? That's the end of my super fancy slideshow. I will
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you. Any questions anyone has, please ask. I'm here.
Thank you, Tim, for that wonderful presentation. And yeah, if you want to learn any of these topics in detail, you can always take a custom training with Tim or someone else on our team. We also offer group classes online. So yeah, be sure to be checking the MicroCAD website for future webinars. We have coming up next on June 29th, Autodesk usage report. Keep track of your products and users has never been so easy. So yeah, that concludes our webinar today. Thank you everyone for attending, and thank you, Tim.
Thank you. Yep, everybody have a great day.
Bye-bye.